"I think I need a break," she said, eyes fixed on her coffee cup like she was trying to find courage at the bottom of it. "No contact. I just need some time to understand myself." I sat there, silent, staring at her through the thin steam rising from my now cold coffee, trying to process what I'd just heard. We were at Harper's Diner, the same tiny cafe we went to 3 years ago after our first movie together. That night, she laughed so hard she snorted syrup out of her nose. Now, that laugh was gone, replaced by a quiet weariness in her eyes and a faint tremor in her hands as she stirred her cup with a silver spoon. At first, I thought she was joking or testing me. "So, you mean like an actual break?" I asked, forcing a half smile that felt brittle. "Or just a little space to think?" She exhaled slowly. "A real break, Alex. No calls, no texts. We both need some space." Space, it sounds fair, until you realize it's just the gentlest way to say, "I need distance. Because I can't breathe with you in my world anymore." We'd been together for 3 years. Lived together for almost 1. We met back in college, 2 broke kids chasing dreams and sharing instant noodles on a busted couch. After graduation, we rented a small apartment, split bills, shared chores, and spent lazy nights watching Netflix with cold pizza between us. I worked full-time in it. She was a freelance designer, talented, creative, but her projects came and went, and money was always tight. Whenever things got rough, I stepped in. I picked up the slack. I didn't do it out of duty, I did it out of love, and yet here she was, sitting across from me in that same old diner, talking like I was some stranger she'd met by accident. "Okay," I said after a moment of silence. "If that's what you need." She looked up, surprised I didn't fight it. But I already knew when someone wants to leave, holding on only makes them run faster. We paid separately, the first time we'd ever done that. Outside, the air smelled like rain and exhaust fumes, heavy and strange. She hugged me quickly, a polite, distant hug, the kind you give before boarding a plane. "Take care of yourself, okay?" "Yeah," I said. "You too." And just like that, 3 years of love ended with a soft hug in a parking lot. The first week of no contact was hell. Every vibration from my phone felt like a ghost of her name. Every happy couple I scrolled past online felt like a knife twist. I didn't text her, didn't call, didn't even check her profile, though every cell in my body wanted to. But on day 9, everything changed. That morning, I woke up to dozens of notifications, tags, comments, likes. The post wasn't from her. It was from her mum. It was an old beach photo of her, captioned, "So proud of my girl." A fresh start. A fresh start. Those words hit harder than any breakup text ever could. It didn't sound like a coincidence. It sounded like a message. Then I saw the comments. "Can't wait to meet your new guy." Her cousin. "You deserve someone who truly values you." Her aunt. Exactly. My girl's glowing again. Her mum replied. I froze. There was only one guy they could be talking about, and it wasn't me. I scrolled down, and there it was. Her latest post from the night before. She was at a rooftop bar, cocktail in hand, smiling like the world had just started over. Behind her, an arm rested casually across her shoulders. You couldn't see his face, just a watch, a sleeve, and a little bit of his shirt. I zoomed in. My chest tightened. Ethan, her co-worker. The the same guy she once said was like a brother. I sat there staring at the screen, motionless. Her voice echoed in my head. I need time to understand myself. Yeah, she figured herself out fast. I set my phone down, my hands trembling, not out of anger, but realization. Breakups don't always come like storms. Sometimes they come like quiet, cold nights, when every sound in your heart just stops. I didn't text her, didn't call, didn't block her either. I wanted her to know I'd seen it and chose silence, because sometimes silence says more than rage ever could. But that night, another notification popped up. Her mum again. This time, she'd tagged me. It was an old photo, me and her laughing together at a family barbecue 2 summers ago. The caption read, "Some memories fade, and some remind us how far we've come." I just sat there, letting out a quiet laugh I couldn't tell was bitter or sad. She said she wanted no contact. Apparently, her mum didn't get the memo. The morning after her mum tagged me, I deleted Instagram from my phone. Not because I wanted to forget her, but because I knew if I kept it, I'd look again. It's strange, sometimes silence is louder than any argument. The apartment felt like a museum of us. 2 coffee mugs still sitting on the table, her jacket hanging over the chair, her scent still lingering faintly in the air. I tried to work, but my mind was blank. Every sound reminded me of her. The kettle whistling, the creak of the floorboards, even the low hum of the fridge. When someone who once meant everything leaves, the world around you becomes filled with their echoes. By the 3rd day, I finally forced myself to go out for groceries, just to breathe something other than her absence. The cashier asked, "Paper or plastic?" And I almost said, whichever she used to pick. That's when it hit me, she'd seeped into even the smallest parts of my life. When I got home, I dropped the bags on the counter and saw her favorite mug still in the sink. The chipped one, she said, had personality. I stared at it for a long moment, then dropped it in the trash. The sound of it breaking was strange. It hurt, but it felt light. Like a piece of me was cracking open, making room for something new to grow. A week later, Jason, my best friend, showed up at my door with a 6-pack. He dropped onto the couch, looked at me, and said, "Dude, you look like a ghost." I gave him a weak smile. "Pretty close." He hesitated, then pulled out his phone, lowering his voice. You're not gonna like this." He turned the screen toward me, a Facebook photo. It was her. That same rooftop bar again. But this time, Ethan was standing beside her, arm around her waist, her head resting on his shoulder. Jason said softly, "She posted it yesterday." Caption says, "Finally found peace." I let out a dry, hollow laugh. Peace, huh? Guess that makes me the storm. After Jason left, I sat in silence, scrolling through my old camera roll. Pictures of us by the lake. Her wearing my hoodie, grinning while baking cookies at midnight. A video of her dancing like an idiot to Taylor Swift in the kitchen. It all looked like a movie that just stopped halfway through. Then it hit me. Every single photo of us was taken by me. I was the one holding the camera steady while she smiled for the world. Maybe that's what love had been for us. Me keeping the frame steady while she figured out how to shine inside it that night. Her mum posted again. A sunset picture, captioned, "Sometimes the hardest goodbyes are the ones that lead to freedom." This time, it didn't sting. I just understood. I'd never really been her partner, just her safety net. The guy she could fall back on when life got hard. And when she found something stable, she didn't need the net anymore. I stood by the window, poured myself a glass of water, and whispered, "No more waiting for people to see my worth once I'm gone." The next morning, I went for a run, something I hadn't done in months. The air was cold, the sky grey, but for the first time, I didn't think about her. Not when my heart was pounding, not when sweat rolled down my neck. Just quiet, the good kind. When I got home, I looked in the mirror and saw someone else. Not the guy who sat frozen in that diner. This version looked tired, sure, but calmer. There was a small spark in his eyes, again, weak but real. That night, I slept. Really slept. For the first time in weeks. But peace never lasts long. The next morning, my phone buzzed. I picked it up, looked at the screen, and my heart sank. It was her. It was her. Her name lit up on my screen like a ghost I wasn't ready to face. For a few seconds, I just stared, my thumb hovering over accept. Then, before I could think, I answered. Her voice came through, soft, uncertain. The kind of tone people use when they know they shouldn't call but do it anyway. I didn't say anything at first. I just listened to her breathing on the other end, steady, familiar to familiar. Finally, I said, "I thought we weren't supposed to talk." "I know," she said quickly. I needed to hear your voice." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was the only thing stopping me from breaking. "You needed to hear my voice. You sure that's not what Ethan's for now?" There was a pause, a long one. I could almost hear her swallow through the phone. "You saw the picture?" "Yeah," I said flatly. "Kinda hard to miss when your mom's been tagging me in everything she posts." She sighed. "I didn't mean for that to happen, really, because it kinda looks like you meant for everything else to happen." "Alex, it's not like that," she said, her voice cracking a little. "Ethan and I, it's not serious. It just sort of happened, right?" I cut her off. "Like you just needed space, and now suddenly you're in someone else's arms 9 days later." Silence, a heavy, suffocating kind. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't plan any of this. I just felt lost." "You felt lost," I repeated quietly. "And instead of finding yourself, you found someone else." She didn't respond. And for once, I didn't try to fill the silence. After what felt like a full minute, she spoke again, her voice shaking. "I know you hate me right now, but I didn't call for you to forgive me. I don't know. I keep thinking about you, about us, about how I ended things." "You didn't end it," I said. "You just walked away and hoped I'd wait." "That's not true," she said, but even she didn't sound like she believed it. "I thought maybe we both needed time." "And what did you figure out during all that time, huh?" I asked, because I figured out that I was the only one actually trying. She went quiet again. Then, softly, I made a mistake. "No," I said. "You made a choice." That line hit harder than I expected, not just for her, but for me, too, because saying it out loud made it real. "Alex," she said after a while, "can we talk? Like, in person? Please." "Why?" "Because I miss you." I closed my eyes. Those 3 words had once meant everything, but now they felt hollow, like a song you used to love but can't listen to anymore. "I don't think that's a good idea," I said finally. "I just want to explain. There's nothing left to explain." My voice came out calmer than I felt. You said you needed space, and I gave it to you. You filled it with someone else. That's the explanation. She started crying, quiet, shaky breaths through the speaker. And the weird thing was, I didn't feel angry anymore. Just tired. I'm sorry, she said again. I never wanted to hurt you. I know, I said softly. But you did anyway. We both stayed on the line, not saying anything. Just listening to the sound of two people who used to belong to each other and now diad single quotes. After a while, I said, take care of yourself, okay? Alex, wait, goodbye. I hung up before she could say anything else. And for the first time, I didn't feel the need to check if she'd call back. Because deep down, I knew that chapter was finally over. That night, I sat on the balcony with a beer in hand, watching the city lights blur into the dark. For the first time, it didn't hurt to remember her. It just felt distant, like watching someone else's story. And in a way, maybe it was. Because the guy sitting there now wasn't the same one she left behind. He was still healing, sure, but he was no longer waiting. The days after that call were quiet, but not the same kind of quiet as before. This one felt lighter, softer, like the silence that comes after a storm. When you finally realize the world kept spinning without you. I started waking up earlier, making my own coffee, opening the windows to let the light in. Funny thing about heartbreak, when someone leaves, it feels like the light leaves too. But one day you realize the light never left. You just stopped looking at it. I made myself a new routine: work, gym, read at night, cook something other than instant noodles. Each small act felt strange at first, like learning how to walk again after forgetting what steady ground feels like. Sometimes, while washing dishes or folding laundry, I'd still think of her, but the pain was gone. What was left felt like a memory that had stopped hurting. Jason kept coming by every few days. Sometimes we'd just sit, drink beer, and not talk about it. One night, while we were watching the game, he turned to me and said, "You ever wonder if she regrets it?" I shrugged. Maybe, but it doesn't really matter anymore. He nodded slowly, studying me. Yeah, you look different, man. Not broken, just breathing again. I laughed. Guess that's progress. About 2 months later, my company sent me to help out at another office. It wasn't far, a 2-hour drive, maybe, but it felt like a clean slate. New city, new air, no ghosts. One afternoon, while I was waiting in line for coffee, I bumped into someone, literally. She almost spilled her drink, and we both laughed. "Sorry," she said, taking off her earbuds. I was zoned out. "It's fine," I smiled. Guess I was too. Her name was Emily. She worked in design, and over the next few days, we kept running into each other. Always at the same cafe, always around the same time. No spark at first sight, no movie moment, just easy conversation. Something about her energy felt ... simple, steady. Real. One morning, as we sat by the window, she asked, "So, you ever been in love?" I chuckled. "Yeah, and I lost her." She tilted her head. "Think you'll fall in love again?" I looked outside, watching the sunlight stretch across the street. "Maybe, but next time, I'll start by loving myself first." Emily smiled, not the kind of smile that pities you, but one that understands. The kind that says, "Yeah, I've been there too." That night, I got home and saw a message on my phone from her mum. The first one since everything happened. It said, "Alex, thank you. No matter what's past, I still wish you happiness." I read it, smiled, and for the first time, I didn't feel a single drop of bitterness. I didn't reply, but in my head, I whispered, "I'm okay now, really." I stepped out onto the balcony, the same spot where I once sat drinking, alone in the dark, and watched the sun fade behind the city skyline. This time, the light didn't feel cold. Maybe sunrise isn't when the sun comes up. Maybe it's when you finally stop looking toward what's already set. It was a Friday night, after work. I was cleaning up my desk when my phone started to buzz. An unknown number. I almost ignored it until a message came right after. "It's me." It was her. After everything. After months of silence, after I thought all of it had finally faded away, she appeared again. With just those 2 short words, I read the message over and over, not knowing what to say. My heart didn't ache like before, but there was a strange feeling, like a door inside me had quietly opened, one I had locked long ago. In the end, I just typed back, "What do you need?" It took her almost an hour to reply. "I just want to see you. Talk for a bit. Just this once." I thought about it for a long time. Part of me said no. But another part, the one that had once loved her deeply, still wanted to know why. So I said yes. We met at the same coffee shop, the one where everything had started and where it had almost ended. She arrived 10 minutes late. Still the same familiar look, but something had changed, less shine in her eyes, more weariness in her smile. "Thank you for coming," she said quietly. I nodded without saying a word. The air between us was filled with things that had never been said. She held her cup, looking down, just like that morning months ago. "I don't even know where to start," she said softly. "Ethan and I are over." I wasn't surprised. I just replied calmly, "I guessed as much." She smiled faintly, a sad kind of smile. "You've always been the one who understands better than me." "Not better," I said. "I just had to learn the hard way." She went silent for a moment, then looked up, her eyes red and watery. "I was wrong, Alex. I thought I needed space, but the truth is, I was just scared. Scared that if we kept going, I'd let you down. And in the end, I still did." I looked at her, and for the first time, I didn't feel angry. I just saw a person trying to find herself again. "We all get scared," I said. "The difference is, I stayed in that fear to face it. You ran from it." She nodded slowly, a tear falling into her cup. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I just want you to know that, no matter what, I still cherish what we had. And I'm really glad you're doing okay." I smiled. "So am I. Everything turns out okay eventually." There was a long silence. Then she asked softly, "Do you have someone new?" I thought of Emily, her easy smile, the way she talked about learning to love yourself, the quiet peace I felt around her. After a moment, I said, "Maybe soon." She nodded, pressing her lips together before smiling, a real smile this time, though it carried a trace of sadness. "She's lucky," she said. I looked out the window, where the sunset was painting the street gold, and replied, "No, I'm lucky because I finally learned how to let go." When we left the cafe, she hugged me, a brief, gentle hug, no longer tangled between love and regret, just a simple goodbye between 2 people who once cared deeply. "Wish you happiness," she said. "You too." She walked across the street, disappearing into the crowd. I stood there, watching her go, not feeling pain or longing anymore, only peace that night. Back home, I texted Emily, "Are you free tomorrow? I want to buy you a coffee." She replied almost immediately, "Sure, I love coffee." I set my phone down and looked out the window. The city was still buzzing, same lights, same noise. But inside me, it was calm, because sometimes, to truly start over, you don't have to forget someone. You just have to be brave enough to close the chapter and move on. The next morning, the sky was unusually clear and cool. I woke up early and opened the window, letting sunlight spill into the apartment. It was the same old place, yet it didn't feel heavy anymore. Every corner seemed alive with a quiet, calm, simple, gentle, and real. I got dressed and headed to our usual coffee spot. Emily was already there, latte in hand, and she smiled when she saw me. "You're actually on time," she said, teasing of course. "Someone who used to be late learns to value time," I replied. We laughed. We talked about small, everyday things, work, hobbies, random moments. Nothing dramatic, nothing tense. That simplicity was comforting. No guessing games, no stress. Just two people talking honestly. Peacefully. Emily mentioned she had landed a freelance design project she was really excited about. Listening to her speak passionately about her dreams, I felt a warm, quiet happiness, the kind I had thought I'd never feel again. "You know," she said, "sometimes people don't need someone to make them happy. They just need someone who makes them feel at peace." I smiled. I think that's the most beautiful thing two people can give each other. Over the next few weeks, we kept meeting, but nobody rushed to call it love. No labels, no promises. Just sharing small joys, a coffee, a rainy afternoon, laughing at a terrible movie we both secretly loved. One evening, as I walked Emily to her door, she paused and asked, "Are you ever afraid of getting hurt again?" I thought for a moment, then said, "Of course. But if we let fear stop us from opening our hearts, old wounds will never heal. Pain isn't as scary as never letting yourself live again." She smiled, lightly squeezed my hand. In that moment, I didn't need any other answer. That night, I went home and opened an old notebook, the one filled with anger, hurt, and questions that had no answers. I tore out each page, one by one, not to forget, but because I didn't need them anymore. I stepped onto the balcony. The night breeze brushed my shoulders. The city lights were still on, cars still honking. The world noisy as ever, yet inside I felt calm, like a still lake, for the first time in a long while. I realized peace doesn't come from replacing someone else. It comes when you can look back at your past without fear, without trembling, and quietly say, "Thank you for everything." I thought everything had finally settled until a message from Emily popped up. "We need to meet." Just once, my heart skipped a beat. I sipped my coffee, staring at the screen. Just once, or the start of a new drama. I replied calmly, "Everything is clear. There's nothing left to say." But she didn't stop there. Her Instagram story appeared shortly after. When everything seems over, karma still finds a way to knock. I didn't reply. Instead, I posted a meme on my own story. Plot twist, I moved on. A few mutual friends tagged me in comments. "Oh my God, they're still not done." I chuckled quietly. The drama ended with me. A few days later, things escalated officially. She sent an email, CCING, A lawyer requesting a final meeting to explain everything. I read it, exhaled, and replied calmly, "It's over. No lawyer needed." My best friend sitting next to me shrugged. "You've really grown up, man." It felt like a huge weight lifted, letting go of an entire mountain of old drama. Only me and the peace I thought I'd never find. The next day, she called, her voice shaky, almost weak. "I just want to explain everything." I smiled, calm, "No need. You've done enough. We've both learned our lessons." Silence. Only a few lingering sighs. I hung up, exhaling slowly, a mix of satisfaction and bitterness. Some victories don't need fighting, they just need moving forward calmly. Messages stopped, stories disappeared, calls ended. Everything that once felt heavy and chaotic was gone. Standing alone, I realized, not every battle is worth fighting. Let those who crave drama have it. I will keep moving, calmly, peacefully, and freely. I thought about all the tense days before, the arguments, the tears, the wounds I thought would follow me forever. I remembered every harsh word, every burst of anger, every time I wanted to scream but held back. Now, looking back, I understood it was all lessons. Every pain taught me growth, every tear reminded me to value peace. I smiled, recalling the last time Emily held my hand. No promises, no explanations, just a gentle squeeze, carrying the silent truth. Some feelings don't need names, they just exist, they just need to be felt, and they just need to bring peace. I stood on the balcony, gazing at the lit-up city, the cool night wind brushing my shoulders, thinking, life goes on. Let those who want drama have it. I've found what I need. I'll keep moving forward, step by step, calmly, peacefully, freely. True peace isn't the end of everything. It's how you live with yourself after it all. How you can smile without fear, cry without pain, and look back at the past without being trapped. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, letting the night air sweep away all that remained. The city still hummed, cars still honked, but inside me, everything was light, calm, and complete. And I knew, this moment, no arguments, no drama, just inner peace, was the greatest victory. The perfect ending to all the chaos, all the noise, all the storm. I smiled and whispered to myself, "Thank you for everything, and now I am free."